Hello folks, Richard Fontenay here. It's Wednesday, and it's time for another episode of The Leader Within. We are here to take you beyond the ordinary in business, work, and life. So whether you are commuting to work, hitting the gym, or simply unwinding at home, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's embark on this journey together. Today, I would like to take on a different slant from our regular Everyday Leadership series and discuss the hidden perils of gambling. Now, when I thought about doing a podcast on gambling and the everyday leader, I wasn't sure how it would pan out. Then I discovered it has much to do with being an everyday leader. It's about becoming aware of what could happen when life takes a drastic turn. I'm about to tell you the story of Thomas, who is viewed as an everyday leader among his colleagues. He was an aspiring accountant who got himself trapped in a cycle of gambling. But first, I want to thank a special friend who gave me valuable insight into the perils of gambling, what it can do to families, the psychological damage it has on individuals and their relationships, and the hardships it creates for everyone in the world of business, work, and life. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Now, the Fontenay Magazine e-learning integrates business, work, and life. We offer virtual solutions, YouTube presentations, e-training, e-books, and a host of free articles, all designed to help you become the best you can be as you journey through life. Check us out in the link below. And now, let's get back to the podcast. Now, before we get to Thomas, let's talk about the backdrop to gambling. In today's fast-paced world, where everything is just a click away, gambling has become more accessible than ever. From glamorous casinos to online betting platforms, people are drawn to striking it rich through chance like never before. And it is further fueled by the rapid rise of gambling advertisements. However, behind this shiny facade lies an ugly truth. The perils associated with gambling often go unnoticed. Now, this podcast will explore how gambling can negatively impact one's mental, emotional, and spiritual health, as well as their financial stability and social network. Now, the idea behind all of this, though, is that we need to approach gambling responsibly. Now, let's look at some of the risks associated with gambling. Perhaps by identifying these risks, you or someone you know may avoid them, particularly if you or they have a propensity towards gambling. Gambling lures many people with its promise of control over their future. However, this perception couldn't be further from reality, as most forms of gambling rely solely on chance and have no way to predict outcomes accurately. Now, despite knowing this fact, subconsciously, we still believe otherwise. You see, our brains are wired for pattern recognition, and so we often make risky decisions when we're chasing losses, and we hope they will turn around and give us back what was lost. Now, this recognition bias can prove detrimental if not managed properly. leading individuals down the murky path toward addiction, and, in many cases, complete financial ruin and social chaos. Gambling is often seen as a thrilling activity that promises big rewards. However, many fail to realize the high risk involved in its pursuit, with odds always favoring casinos over players. The allure of winning big can lead some into financial ruin. For those who become addicted to gambling, maxed out credit cards and empty savings accounts are often common consequences. Due to mounting debt levels, tensions rise among family members. After all, their future livelihood is at stake. Gambling is an exciting pastime that can trigger intense emotions. For instance, the thrill of winning brings about an unparalleled feeling of euphoria, while losing leaves one feeling devastated and hopeless. Over time, these extreme highs and lows affect mental health. They lead many individuals to use gambling to escape negative feelings instead of confronting them head-on. Now, this vicious cycle proves difficult for most people to break their addiction without any kind of professional help or intervention. Gambling addiction doesn't just affect the individual, though. It also has a profound impact on relationships. Loved ones, friends, and colleagues often suffer as they watch someone close to them struggle. Deception, lies, and broken promises become commonplace. And this erodes trust and causes emotional pain within families and those close to the gambler. Communication breaks down, and those closest to the gambler begin to distance themselves. As well, gambling takes up valuable time that could be spent on opportunities that lend themselves to personal growth. The addictive nature of gambling can consume an individual's plans, preventing them from pursuing their passions or achieving their goals. This missed opportunity costs individuals dearly. They miss out on many life experiences that they may have otherwise enjoyed. Gambling addiction often serves as a precursor to other risky behaviors. The need for quick cash can lead individuals down dangerous paths, such as borrowing from sources with exorbitant interest rates, engaging in criminal activities, or using substances as coping mechanisms. This vicious cycle has severe consequences on one's life. Now, let's turn to how gambling affected Thomas. As I mentioned, Thomas was an accountant who built a stable life through hard work and his analytical mind. He gained recognition for being meticulous in every aspect of his job, and he was considered a leader among his colleagues. But there was something brewing beneath the surface, an obsession that would soon take over everything in his life. This hidden fixation led Thomas down a dangerous path, filled with unforeseen consequences. Thomas had always been wary of casinos, but one evening, while walking home with his colleagues, something changed. They passed by the Grand Royal Casino, and decided to enter its oak doors and try their luck at the tables. Thomas was initially reluctant, but his buddy suggested it wouldn't do any harm. But despite his initial hesitation, curiosity got the better of him, and he went into that unknown world filled with possibility and danger. Thomas and his friends approached a roulette table with a bit of an air of anticipation. The wheel spun hypnotically, and as they watched the ball dance around its designated numbers, Thomas, without any hesitation, placed his bet on number 12, his lucky charm. And to his surprise and delight, fate favored him that day. He watched the ball settle down upon number 12. The dealer pushed the chips toward him. And this was unlike anything Thomas had experienced in his life. He felt exhilarated beyond measure, and everyone around him congratulated his newfound luck. This was the turning point for Thomas. As he and his friends left the casino, they slapped him on the back for his win, and then separated to walk briskly to their own homes and families. Now, Thomas's unexpected success at the casino led him to return. Soon he visited more frequently, eventually turning it into a nightly excursion. Initially, he played conservatively, but as his wins grew, so did his betting habits. The draw of fast money, combined with believing that he could predict game outcomes, consumed his thoughts completely. Thomas's experience with luck was really a roller coaster ride. Initially, he had won big, but soon his winnings started to dwindle as each day passed. In an attempt at recouping what he lost, Thomas ignored all advice from reason and continued betting more aggressively than ever before. And this quickly led him downhill into debt. His savings account diminished rapidly, while credit card balances swelled upwards. He became increasingly anxious because of the immense pressure of mounting debts. Thomas's emotional state was in turmoil as he rode a roller coaster of highs and lows. The thrill of victory quickly faded away, replaced by the crushing weight of defeat. This left him feeling isolated from friends and family members who could no longer contact him on his phone or at social gatherings. His work performance deteriorated. He wasn't attentive any longer to his work, and soon he was getting mounting pressure from both his colleagues and his superiors. Thomas's gambling became an escape mechanism that only exasperated his problems. With each passing day, it became increasingly difficult for him to maintain appearances while struggling with his vicious cycle of addiction. Thomas's addiction took on a life of its own beyond the casino walls. He began borrowing money from high-interest sources, convinced he could win it back and make things right again. This deception led to tense relationships with those closest to him, and they grew increasingly concerned about his behavior. When he was at home with his family, he really wasn't at home with his family. His mind was elsewhere. He was consumed with the thought of gambling. He mused about where to get his next dollar for his next big win. Thomas had reached a point of desperation where he was willing to risk everything on one spin at the roulette wheel. And to his great disappointment, his gamble didn't pay off. Instead, it left him with nothing but regret and shame for what could have been if only things had gone differently. The loss wasn't about money or possessions. Thomas also lost the trust of those who cared deeply about him along the way. Thomas was left devastated after losing bit by bit, and then everything in a single gambling session. The lure of easy money had consumed his life, leaving him penniless, with credit card debt and loans reaching the highest interest rate available. He was emotionally drained, socially isolated from loved ones who cared deeply about him. He was consumed with secrecy and avoided his family so that he could keep his cycle of secrets going. He thought, just one more time, and then I'll quit. Unfortunately for Thomas, that one more time broke him completely. He was at the bottom with nowhere to go. He had lost his family, he's lost his job, his social network, and more importantly, he lost himself. One day, while gambling for pennies because that's all he had, he finally turned for help. He saw something he hadn't seen before. In a safe place, tucked away in the casino, was a resource for those who were struggling with gambling. With feelings of deep guilt and trepidation, he walked over to the nook. He was scared. He peeked in, and then took his first step toward a long climb from his addiction. Later, he sought out support groups and counseling sessions. And Thomas slowly began rebuilding himself piece by piece until he could stand tall again. Now, Thomas's experience is a cautionary tale about the risks associated with gambling. Initially seen as a harmless fun, it quickly transformed into an all-consuming obsession that caused significant harm to Thomas and those around him. Now, this story highlights how important it is to seek help before things spiral out of control when chasing luck becomes problematic. So let's sum this podcast up. The lure of winning big through gambling can be enticing, but comes with significant risks. The consequences associated with this activity include financial ruin, emotional distress, strained relationships, lost opportunities, and could have devastating effects on one's life and the life of others. Recognizing the signs of addiction early is key to breaking free from its grasp. Self-awareness, education, support networks, and professional assistance provide the tools necessary for overcoming the attraction of gambling and can lead to a healthier and more fulfilling life. So-called luck may not always favor us. However, taking control over our actions and decisions pave the way toward achieving a brighter future. As one manager in the field of gambling told me, and I quote, "The math behind the industry is truly amazing. And we have a mathematically sound system that guarantees we are going to come out ahead in the long run. We call it the house advantage. That is why it is so important for people to look at gambling as a form of entertainment and not as a way to make money." End of quote. Thank you for listening, folks. And if you or someone you know is closing in on gambling addiction, seek professional help. Don't wait until you or they are emotionally drained, financially strapped, or mentally broken. Take action now. I look forward to meeting with you again next week when we return to our podcasts on the Everyday Leader. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and continue becoming the best version of yourself. Bye for now. Again, I want to thank you for subscribing to this channel. And oh, by the way, if you are interested in making money online, check out our product reviews on our other channel, Affiliate Marketing with Richard. I've provided the link below.